From the vast expanse of space, Earth appears as a tranquil blue marble, a beacon of life suspended in the cosmic void. It's a breathtaking view, a reminder of our shared existence. Serene and whole, a complete world, a place of immense beauty and potential. No borders etched in stone, no artificial divisions, just a single interconnected home, a delicate ecosystem for all life to flourish. Yet this peaceful image, this stunning vista, hides a turbulent and often brutal history. Our species has long been marked by conflict, a recurring theme in the human story, with fields and forests scarred by war, bearing silent witness to the cost of our disagreements. The Great War, a conflict that was supposed to end all wars, and the Second World War, a global catastrophe of unprecedented scale, left deep wounds, both physical and emotional, cautionary tales of what happens when diplomacy fails and communication breaks down. The peace many enjoy today is not a given. It wasn't simply bestowed upon us, it's a fragile construct, carefully built on treaties, painstakingly negotiated agreements, alliances, forged in the hope of mutual security, and tireless cooperation across borders and cultures. This peace is a garden that needs constant tending, nurturing, and protection, or else suspicion and fear, like weeds, will quickly take root and choke the life out of it. The calm we see is a thin veneer, a deceptive surface over deep-seated tensions and unresolved conflicts. The tranquility of our world is a gift, a precious inheritance, paid for at immense cost, with the blood and sacrifice of previous generations. To take it for granted, to be complacent, is to risk repeating history's darkest chapters, condemning ourselves to relive the mistakes of the past. Looking at Earth from space, from this unique vantage point, we feel a profound responsibility, a moral imperative to protect it. We are custodians of this remarkable world, its stewards and protectors, the only one we know that harbors life, a treasure beyond measure. Our challenge is to live up to the beauty of our home, to reflect its harmony in our own actions, and find ways to coexist peacefully, respecting our differences and celebrating our shared humanity. The future depends on our ability to remember the lessons of the past and to choose peace, actively and consciously, every single day. And so, we arrive at a juncture, a moment of profound reflection, where we face a question many fear to ask, a question that lingers in the shadows of our collective consciousness. What if it happened again? What if the unthinkable were to occur, plunging the world into chaos and despair once more? What if a third world war erupted in our time? A conflict that could dwarf the previous ones in scale and devastation. This is not idle speculation, a mere thought experiment, but a vital exercise in foresight, a necessary step to safeguard our future and prevent potential catastrophe. The wars of the 20th century were defined by steel, the relentless production of war machines, factories, churning out weapons at an unprecedented rate, and vast armies clashing on clear battlefields, engaging in brutal and decisive confrontations. Today, the world is different, transformed by technology and interconnectedness, built on silicon, signals, and instant global networks, a digital web that spans the globe. Our digital infrastructure is the nervous system of civilization, the backbone of our modern society, but also its greatest vulnerability, a potential target for those who seek to disrupt and destroy. A new world war would not just be fought on land, with traditional armies and conventional weapons, sea, with naval fleets and submarine warfare, and air, with fighter jets and aerial bombardments, but in cyberspace and even in orbit, extending the battlefield to realms previously untouched. The battlefield would expand to every aspect of modern life, blurring the lines between combatant and civilian. The front line would be in our homes, where we seek safety and security, offices, the centers of commerce and productivity, and minds, where the battle for hearts and minds will be waged relentlessly. This is the shocking truth of modern warfare, a reality we must confront with courage and determination. To understand the risks, the potential dangers that lie ahead, we must fully comprehend how war has changed, how technology has reshaped the landscape of conflict. The stakes have never been higher, the consequences of inaction too dire to contemplate. The first shots of a third world war might be silent. Streams of malicious code, not bullets. Cyber warfare targets the foundations of modern states, power grids, transportation, financial systems, and communication networks. A nation's infrastructure could be weaponized against its own people, inducing chaos and paralysis before a single soldier moves. The digital battlefield has no boundaries and no clear combatants. Attribution is nearly impossible, making miscalculation and escalation constant risks. Cyber war erases the line between soldier and civilian. Anyone with a device is on the front line. Personal data can be weaponized, and disinformation can be targeted with precision. The psychological toll of constant digital vulnerability would be immense. In this new form of conflict, everyone is a potential target. The battlefield is everywhere. Above us, another battlefield looms: space. Our world depends on satellites for navigation, communication, and military intelligence. In a global conflict, these orbital assets would be prime targets. Anti-satellite weapons could destroy satellites, creating dangerous debris and threatening all space activity. Jamming and dazzling attacks could cripple vital systems without a single explosion. The destruction of satellites could trigger a chain reaction, Kessler syndrome, making orbits unusable for centuries. The loss of space infrastructure would cripple everything from weather forecasting to global finance. What began as a quest for knowledge could become a militarized zone, closing the door to future exploration. The war above would devastate life below. Our dreams of reaching the stars would be jeopardized by conflict on Earth. The rise of artificial intelligence brings a new, unsettling dimension to war. Fully autonomous weapons, machines making life and death decisions, are no longer science fiction. Swarms of drones, robotic tanks, and unmanned systems could fight at speeds beyond human comprehension. The promise is precision and fewer casualties, but the risks are immense. Errors, hacking, and loss of control. Who is accountable when a machine kills? The programmer, the commander, or the machine itself? Delegating lethal authority to algorithms creates a moral and legal vacuum, a step from which there may be no return. A third world war would devastate the global economy in days. Our interconnected supply chains would shatter, halting the flow of goods, food, and medicine. Key shipping lanes would become war zones, and ports would close. Shortages would trigger panic and empty shelves worldwide. Financial markets would collapse, currencies would spiral, and life savings would vanish overnight. Businesses would fail, unemployment would soar, and billions would be plunged into poverty. Nations would hoard resources, driving prices beyond reach and fueling further conflict. The era of global abundance would end, replaced by desperate competition for survival. The world would become a collection of isolated, struggling nations. The economic shock would fuel a vicious cycle of war and deprivation. The true cost of war is always human suffering. A third world war would unleash casualties and destruction on a scale never seen. Cities would be targeted, and the line between front and home would vanish. Refugee crises would overwhelm nations, with hundreds of millions displaced. Disease, starvation, and lack of medical care would claim countless lives. The most vulnerable, the young, the old, the sick, would suffer most. The psychological trauma would haunt survivors for generations. Trust and community would be shattered, leaving a world of broken spirits. The human spirit would be tested to its absolute limit. As war and economic collapse spread, society itself would unravel. Governments and institutions would crumble, unable to provide security or basic needs. In the vacuum, warlords and gangs would seize power, ruling by force. Communities would fracture along old lines and violence would surge. Law and order would vanish, replaced by fear and brutality. Trust would dissolve, and survival would depend on loyalty to the strongest. Knowledge and culture would be lost as libraries, museums, and universities fall. The internet would be a memory, and technological skills would fade. Humanity could face a new dark age with the achievements of centuries wiped out. Survivors would pick through the rubble of a lost civilization. Modern warfare shatters not just cities, but our moral certainties. Remote technologies and AI create an ethical fog, distancing us from the consequences of violence. Delegating lethal authority to machines raises profound questions of responsibility. Propaganda and disinformation would erode truth, making moral judgment nearly impossible. In the struggle for survival, would our values endure, or would we lose our very humanity? The greatest tragedy might be not just lives lost, but the loss of our moral compass. Contemplating this future, acknowledging the potential for global conflict is not prophecy, but a stark warning. It's a call to action, urging us to consider the consequences of inaction. A third world war is not inevitable. It is not a predetermined fate we are powerless to avoid. Instead, it would be the direct result of choices made by leaders on the world stage and by all of us in our daily lives. We have the power, the collective agency, to choose a different path, a path away from conflict. Peace is not passive. It's not simply the absence of war. Rather, it requires constant effort, a proactive commitment to building bridges. It demands open dialogue, honest and respectful communication, and above all, it necessitates empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. We must invest in diplomacy, in fostering relationships between nations. We must promote cultural exchange, celebrating the diversity of human experience, and we must strengthen international cooperation, working together to address shared challenges. The challenges we face, climate change, pandemics, inequality, demand shared solutions, solutions that transcend national borders. The responsibility for peace rests with everyone, with each and every individual on this planet. It's a burden we all share, not just governments and international organizations. It's reflected in our daily choices, seeking truth, engaging respectfully with differing opinions, teaching empathy to future generations, and recognizing our shared humanity, our common ground. We are not passive spectators. We cannot afford to stand idly by. We are active participants in shaping history, in determining the course of our future. Our actions, both big and small, create the climate in which peace can flourish and thrive or wither and fail. From the vast expanse of space, there are no artificial borders, only one fragile, precious, shared home suspended in the cosmos. Let us consciously choose cooperation over conflict, understanding over animosity. Let us choose unity over division, building bridges instead of walls. The journey to peace is undoubtedly difficult, fraught with challenges and setbacks, but it is undeniably the most important, the most meaningful journey we can undertake. Together, united in hope for a brighter, more peaceful future for all.